the topic of Eicha Yoiv Ba'apoy, the pasuk in the second perek, the beginning of the second perek in Eicha, and initially, the simple meaning of the pasuk Eicha Yoiv is referring to the darkening with his anger, just like a cloud. Yoiv from the word clouds, that shows on the darkening, and has to do also with the idea of klippus, that malchus goes down all the way and is enclosed in the level of klippus, which darken it and conceal it. That is the level of bas tziyun. Bas tziyun is going on malchus that descended all the way into the concealment of klippus noiga, and then through klippus noiga it descends even into covered by shalosh tmeis, but it's afterwards transformed to the positive idea of a cloud. And we bring down that when Mashiach comes, it says, Mi eilekov tu feno, who are like these that will fly like a cloud, meaning that it's way above. It's showing on a great revelation. The Chazal say that their merit, they are elevated and raised up as high as a cloud. And the Rebbe says, and this is what we find in general, that that the transformation from Klippa to Kedusha comes about through our avodah of tshuva, and that's why in the idea of clouds of an anon, there is both the clouds in Klippa, like it's brought down Merkavas Yecheskel, one of the three Klippas, their source in the Merkava El Yoina is from the cloud that was surrounding and around this Merkava El Yoina divine chariot. And then there's a second level, the way it says by Moshe Rabbeinu, that we learned yesterday, that Moshe could not enter into Oil Moed because the Anon rested upon him. Now in line 2, he's going to bring a similar thing, because cloud is also associated with darkness. Like we brought originally, that Eicha Yoiv Ba'apoy means, Rashi explains, Yoiv means from the word darken. So darkness and cloud has to do together. So he's going to bring that Moshe Rabbeinu could not enter the Oil Moed because the cloud of Hashem rested. It was such a high level. And then we're going to bring a case where Moshe was able to enter into a dark, cloudy, very high level. That's on line 2, page 4 of the printouts, page Ches. Similar to where it's written of Moshe, Nigash Alal Rafel, and Moshe approached the dark, thick darkness over there. Sharafel Zeu Bechinat Nailus B'Yoiser. That Moshe, when he approached Har Sinai by that Arafel, that was a very high level. This idea that Moshe approached Arafel was during the giving of the Torah. Then there was a very great revelation to every single Yid. And still in all, Gam us. Even then, when there was this great revelation, and you would expect, okay, this great revelation is something that every Yid can approach. It doesn't say that every Yid approached the ultimate level. Gam oz rak Moshe nigash al arafel. Even then, the arafel, that great darkness, was too high for every Yid. It only says it about Moshe Rabbeinu that he approached the arafel. Masha Enkin Kol Yisrael, as opposed to all Yidden could not approach it. From this it's understood, this level of this thick darkness, and so to the level that we have in this pasuk at the beginning of the second perek in Eicha Yoiv, who Naila Yoiser is even more elevated, even to the revelation that all Yidden perceived and received by Matan Torah. So here we see the descent for the sake of an ascent, that even though by Matan Torah you had the level of a cloud, but over there the cloud, no one could approach it except for Moshe Rabbeinu. But here, Eicha Yoiv Ba'apoy is something that we have this revelation of the cloud that we all seemingly will have a connection with. Let's go on line 11 after the brackets. V'zeu inyan mi eila. It says, who are these ka'ov te'ufena, that will fly like the clouds, that we said before. That the simple meaning is that, like, it's a wonder. Oh, wow, look at the Eden that are flying in the clouds. Who are these ones that are flying in the clouds? So, but specifically, the expression mi eila is used as an expression of wonder, shows on a very high level. So he says, she's chaber, line 12, that will be joined. Bechinas mi, the level of mi. Shemoid al helam, that the level of mi indicates concealment. Alma diskasia, the concealed world, im elam, with the level of these. Bechinas gilui, the level of revelation. Because when you say mi, who is that? That's the translation of mi. That means it's a mystery. It's something that's not known. That shows that it's a concealed level. And Eila is just the opposite of concealment. You're saying these. These shows on revelation. So you're taking the level of Alma Diskasia, the concealed world, and you're bringing it into Eila, into a revelation. Shem Bechinas Eila Shmois B'nai Yisrael, that the Eila, like there's a medrash that says that Eila is going on the names of B'nai Yisrael, meaning, in other words, referring, just like it says over here, mi Eila, the same thing it says in the pasuk, Eila Shmois B'nai Yisrael. So the revelation that we're referring to is a revelation to the Jewish people. Vazai, and then when there's the revelation of the mi into Eila, into Klal Yisrael, then ka'ov tufena, so then the Yidden will fly like a cloud to the highest, most levels, like we spoke at the end of yesterday's year. We could say the Rebbe adds that the joining and between such disparate levels, such opposite levels, mi is the level of Alma Diskasi, that's normally not revealed, and it's joined with Eila, that it should be revealed. How does that which is beyond revelation join with revelation? It comes out of drawing down a level that's so high, the level of the cloud, that it's a very elevated level, like we mentioned before, like the Rebbe very often emphasizes in the Mamorim and the Sikhs, that what causes the joining of two opposite levels, how do two opposite levels come together? When you have a level that's higher than them. So the same thing, the mi and the eila coming together is thanks to the of, that's such a high level that totally destroys all barriers and removes all barriers, and even something that's concealed, like mi, Alma Diskasia, can come out in a way of revelation into Eila Shmois B'nai Yisrael. So based on all of this, line 19, Valpiza, according to this, yes, so we could explain also what it says. How will he make cloudy also in a positive way? Because that's the whole point that he's trying to say, that what the Tzemach Tzedek said, that it's the transformation of the negative to the positive, and like the klolos is transformed to brachas, the same thing he explained in Eicha, that the psukim in Eicha and the seeming negative things in Eicha is really positive things. So over here also, Eicha Ya'iv is also a positive. She Ya'iv, that when it says he will make cloudy, who bechinas of on the Kedusha, it's talking about he will bring about the level of the clouds of Kedusha. Shehi bechina nilus b'yoser, it's a very elevated and transcendent level, like we mentioned before. So that is the Ya'iv part. What is Eicha mean? Usually Eicha means how awful, woe, and so on. So even the word Eicha has a positive meaning to it. Eicha Ya'iv, the fact that it says the word Eicha, yes, lafarish al pi bir Hashem tzemach tzedek v'pirish Eicha Yashva. We can go back to the explanation that the Tzemach Tzedek says on the first Eicha, on the beginning of Megillus Eicha, where it says Eicha Yashva Badad. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains the deeper meaning of the word Eicha in the positive, that you divide the word into Eicha. What's the division over here? Shayuda Eicha Moiral Esesfiris. The Yud of the word Eicha indicates the 10 spheres. According to what the Medrash said, that the Yud of Eicha indicates the Aseres HaDibros, so the Rebbe is going to use that to tell us what level of the Esespheres there are that we're talking about over here. Not just what one would say normally, 10 spheres to Atzilus. Usually when it just says 10 spheres, or it just mentions a sphere alone, like Chochmah or Malchus, it's referring to Atzilus. So it says 10 spheres of Atzilus. Comes the Rebbe and says no. Based on what the Medrash says, that the Yud has to do with the Aseres HaDibros, so that shows us, Yesh Loimar, שבעשר ספירות שנרמזים ביוד דאיכה נכלולים גם 10 ספירות הגנוזes. That in the 10 spheres that the Tzemach Tzedek said before, that the 10 spheres are hinted in the letter Yud of Eicha, it's not just the 10 spheres, the way they are in Atzilus, but it also hints at the hidden 10 spheres, the way they are still part of the Ein Sof before the Tzimtzum, the 10 spheres hagnuzes. What does it have to do with this Medrash? Why do we come to that conclusion based on the fact that the Medrash says that the Yud goes on the Aseres HaDibros? Because Shai says, Sharei Aseres HaDibros heim b'chinas chakika. We know that the Aseres HaDibros were engraved. They weren't written like the Rebbe always explains in many places. They weren't written like ink on parchment, but they are engraved in the stone itself. And when you talk about spheres, a level of spheres that are similar to engraving, so that's much higher than the spheres, the way they are in Atzilus, v'dugmasam b'spheres, and correspondingly to the level of the engraving of the Aseres HaDibros, what corresponds, which level in spheres would be considered engraving, heim spheres hagnuzes, the concealed Esespheres, the Esespheres, the way they are in before the Tzimtzum, but the way they are in the earnest of Shemat Tzimtzum, shehem mineu bei, that they are just like when you have engraved letters. They are from and in the stone itself. That's what mineu bei means. The same thing, the Esespheres, the way they are in the Esespheres hagnuzes, they are also mineu bei. So again, the point of here being that Tzemach Tzedek just says that the Yud indicates Esespheres. He doesn't say which level. You could say it's just Esespheres and Atzilus. Comes the fact that the Medrash identifies the Yud with Aseres HaDibros. Aseres HaDibros was engraved, and engraving indicates the types of 10 spheres, the way they are in the Esespheres hagnuzes. So therefore, when we say the Yud of Eicha, the Esespheres, we're not just talking about any 10 spheres. We're talking about 10 spheres, the way it's in the utmost highest source, Esespheres hagnuzes. Last line on the page, line 30 after the brackets, Va'alev shelifnei Yud, the letter Aleph, that precedes the letter Yud, ulama, and therefore the fact that it precedes it means, top of page test, that the Aleph is even higher than the Yud, meaning higher even than the Esespheres hagnuzes. It indicates a level that's beyond the 10 spheres, and not just beyond the 10 spheres of Atzilus, but like we said before, and higher even than the Esespheres hagnuzes. So we see this is an amazing level that we're talking about over here. Not the Esespheres hagnuzes, but higher even than the Esespheres hagnuzes that's in the Ein Sof Shefnat Tzimtzum. What is the Cha of Eicha? Moiral Bechinas HaMalchus, that indicates on the level of Malchus Shnikras Koi. Malchus is associated with the word Koi, or Gam Kocha. Why is Malchus associated with the letter Koi, with the word Koi or Kocha, which means like this, similar to this? It's not identical, but it's similar to. Because Malchus is associated with the level of an image. It's only it's not like Tzalmeinu, which is like the form itself, but it's only like a replica. Malchus is a lower level, so it's called the level of Demus. It's called the level of Koi or Kocha. because that's what Kid Musenu is, like the image. The same thing, the word koi is like. So now you have A and Cha. Aleph and the Yud is the level that's beyond the Esesfiras Hagnuzus, and you have Cha, which is Malchus. So he says in line 5, Upirush Eicha. A v'cha b'teva achas. What does it mean that the word Eicha, that you have the A and the Cha in one word? Hu achibur bechinas A, Esesfiras Hagnuzus. It's the joining of the 10 spheres, the 10 concealed spheres, Ulamayla Yoiser, and even higher than the 10 concealed spheres, because you have the Aleph before the Yud, in Bechinas Koi Malchus, with the level of Koi Malchus. So, this is similar to what we said, Mi Eila, the level of Mi, which is Alma Diskasi, is joining with the Eila Shmois Bnei Yisrael, with the revealed levels. So, therefore, it's going to fit in very well with the word Ya'iv. What did we say before? What enables that the Mi and the Eila should come together? The higher level of the cloud. The same thing. How does the A and the Choy come together? How does the level that's higher than the Esesfiras Hagnuzus come together with Malchus? Through Yoiv, through the cloud. Line 8. According to this, we could also explain. Also, what it says, Eicha Yoiv, in the Eicha, the idea of the word Eicha Chibur, Eim Koi, the joining of the level that's higher than the Esesfiras Hagnuzus, and the Esesfiras Hagnuzus with Malchus, Nasam B'china HaYoisel Yoina, the Yoiv Dafke comes specifically from the utmost highest level of Yoiv. Like we mentioned before, in the Mi Eilakav to Fena, Shachibur the Bechinas Mi and Bechinas Eil. How do you join the Mi, which is the Alma Diskasid, concealed and hidden levels, with the level of Eilam? It's similar. It's the joining of two extremes. Nasa Bechinas Ha'av and Iskeres Leil can come about only because of the Av, this great darkness, this great concealed level that's beyond Seder Ishtalshlos, could manipulate and join these two opposite extremes. So he goes on further in what it says in that first pasuk in the second Perek in Eicha, line 15, V'zeo gam masher nemar Eicha Yoiv. Goimar, so it says, Es bas Tzion. The daughter of Tzion, you darkened with your anger. We'll talk about that also. Sheknes Yisrael Nikras Kan B'Shem Bas Tzion. The Jewish people are called over here daughter of Tzion. Why specifically are we choosing the term daughter? Because specifically this name, daughter of Tzion, indicates the ultimate level. And it's explained at length in the Mamorim of Chanukah that we read in the Haftorah of Shabbos Chanukah. We read the pasuk in Roni v'simchi bas Tzion, sing and rejoice, the daughter of Tzion. Who is the daughter of Tzion referring to? Yidden. So in the Mamorim of Chanukah it explains Shatam de Sheknes Yisrael Nikras v'pasuk zeh b'shem bas Davke, the reason why the Jewish people are called in this pasuk specifically by the name Bas. What's the question? Because Bas, the Rebbe is going to say in the brackets, is of the three terms of endearment that the Yidden are called, it seems to be the lesser of the three. Look in the brackets. Bas. Though the description daughter indicates seemingly on the lowest level, Kedisa and Medrash, like it's brought down in Medrash, that Hashem called the Yidden three different expressions of endearment in Shir HaShirim. Hashem did not stop himself from showing his love until he called the Yidden my daughter. Then further the Medrash goes on another situation. He didn't stop showing his favor for the Yidden and love for the Yidden till he even called her something more. He called her my sister. And he didn't even stop showing his love, that he went even to the utmost level and he called her my mother. So if so, comes out that the description daughter is the lowest of the three forms of endearment that the Medrash describes. If so, why does the pasuk choose to call the Yidden by the lowest of these three, by Bas Tzion? So on the Mamarim of Chanukah it explains, line 25, Kil Asid Lavoi, Tis'ala B'chinas Bas, L'maylam B'chinas Eim. Even though now the level of mother is the highest of the three and the daughter is the lowest, when Mashiach comes, the level of daughter will arise and become higher even than the highest level and the level of the mother. So just like Bas over there in the Mamarim of Chanukah, Roni v'Simchi Bas Tzia, Yidden are called by the term Bas because they will rise up to this utmost highest level when Mashiach comes, that's higher than all the three different forms of endearment. In a similar vein, we could explain the pasuk. The daughter of ציון, the reason why Yidden are called the daughter of ציון Dafka, because the great quality and advantage that will be in Bas when Mashiach comes. Top of page Yud, now the Rebbe always has an approach of not negating one pshat from another. So if you have multiple explanations in a pasuk, Alpi Nigla, and Alpi Chsidis, and Alpi Remez, the Rebbe says it's a Torah Tmima. It's a whole Torah. It's not different Torahs. There's the Torah of Said and there's the Torah of Nigla. It doesn't work that way. Everything needs to fit in and mesh with everything else. So we have the simple meaning of the pasuk, that seems to be a negative, that the anger of Hashem was let out at the Eden and it made them dark and so on in a negative fashion, versus the darkness of this ultimate and high level. So the Rebbe says, here's how we can connect it. We could connect this high and quality and advantageous explanation of the pasuk with the simple meaning, the drawing down of the level of the cloud of Kedusha is through refining the level of the cloud of Klippa in the literal sense, the literal meaning of Yoiv. Like was mentioned before from the words of the Samach Tzedek, that the Basian, the daughter of Tzien, which is also the level of Malchus, descended Lislabish Bekisui of the Klippa, in the thick covering of Klippa, that it cannot rise up out of it. It's like entrapped in there. But despite that being entrapped in that darkness, Achim Kolzeh still in all, through Tshuva, the Basian can arise. Because through Tshuva it becomes a refinement of the cloud of Klippa, and not just is it refined and removed, but even more so, until the intentional Avedas become like mitzvahs. And the Rebbe adds to this that it's not just like, not just similar to merits, with the chaf that shows that it's only similar, but rather you could read it al-gam zochias mamish. When you look into Tanya, it comes out that they're actual merits, and in some ways they're even higher than mitzvahs, the way it comes out from many places in Chassidus. Therefore, we said that the cloud of Kedusha is very high. So only through the Yoiv Kipshutei, only through descending into the cloud of Klippa in the literal sense, in the simple sense of the pasuk, can one rise up to a higher level, to the cloud of Kedusha, because of that Zdoinus Nafla Kizachi is. And this also fits in with another thing that he adds in the pasuk, Ba'apoy. Ba'apoy means anger. Ki apoy moira ala gvudas, because his anger indicates severity and judgment. What's it mean, a person's severity and judgment? The person is being severe against themselves. They're constricting and limiting themselves. He gives up. He tears himself away from himself and all of his own matters. He completely acts in a gvura dika fashion to reach that higher level of tshuva. V'roitz Eloshav Lavayit, he wants to return to Hashem. Vayde Gvuras Elu Ba'apoi, through these severities, which is the word Ba'apoi, indicating his anger. Nasam Shachasa of comes down the level of the cloud. Yoiv, the Kedusha of holiness.